Today we drive the new Skoda Kodiaq, the new BMW 5 Series, and there's Autocar Confidential.
I'm here in the coastline of Spain in Mallorca to test drive Skoda's new offering, the Kodiaq. Now the Kodiaq is a luxury premium SUV and it's Skoda's first step into this segment with an SUV actually. We've seen them do it with the Superb. They've had the luxury offering before and we've seen quite a lot of success with it in the Indian market. Can the Kodiaq build on those strengths? Can it replicate that success? We have to find that out. But this segment of SUV is burgeoning in India, those that don't come from a luxury badge, those that have 7 seats. It's difficult, you have to differentiate yourself, and let's see if the Kodiaq can do that.
Named after an Alaskan bear, the Kodiaq visually stands out, bridging the gap between big, brawny traditional SUVs like the Endeavour or the Fortuner and soft-roaders like the CR-V and the Santa Fe. It stands in middle ground with enough muscle to make it brawny but doesn't look huge, and styling makes it look sassy but not soft. Although it is 4.7 meters long, it just doesn't look it. Lots of character lines and taut skinning make it quite athletic, whilst the squared-off wheel arches, a larger-than-life butterfly grille, massive air dam and upright stance in front give it the required beef. There are plenty of stylish details too, like the LED-encrusted accents on the headlamps that resemble Czech crystal and the sharply contoured tail lamps that set it apart. It doesn't stand very high off the ground at 187 mm, but it still has enough attitude to make it SUV enough. Kodiaq's looks will attract attention.
The interior of the Kodiaq is conventional looking, but I really like it because it's simple, it's neat, it's uncluttered, and all the materials feel really premium and nice. It's soft touch plastic, there's this nice wood looking textured plastic across the center of the dash. The dials are crisp, clean, clear, and even the infotainment system, it's got one of the best graphics I've seen. You know, it's really crystal sharp, and of course it's easy to navigate. It's very intuitive. You have the Android Auto, you have Apple CarPlay, you have Wi-Fi hotspot, so it comes feature loaded as well. And the cabin itself is spacious, it's airy, it's practical with a lot of storage areas, and of course you get that vital third row of seats.
The top-end variant we were driving came with the stitched leather seats, blind spot warning, key wireless phone charging, 3-zone climate control, emergency assistance, smart link, 360-degree camera with a virtual exterior view, and onboard Wi-Fi hotspot. And I'm sure I've still forgotten a few. Apart from this, there are over 30 simply clever little items, but the ones I liked best were the umbrella holders in both front doors, the little magnetic torch at the back of the boot, and the pièce de résistance.
Now another simply clever little addition is this door guard. This piece of rubber that comes out and folds over the side so that when you open your door, you don't sort of bang it or scratch it against another car, and even the other car is protected actually. I love the way it just sort of folds away and neatly tucks itself inside when the door is closed.
That is simply clever and particularly handy for India, where we park our cars so close to one another in building compounds. Let's get to the other feature that Indians will love, the third row.
Now you're probably wondering why this interior is suddenly all black, but that's because I'm going to show you the third row in the petrol variant that we have for today, because this is the 7-seater variant. Center row slides 180 mm, so there's a lot of leeway for you to get it forward, but for practical purposes I'm going to push it all the way back and see, you know, how comfortable the back seat is even with the middle row pushed back. A bit tight, really knees up, and I would say good for small kids. But the advantage is that you can move this center row and you can move it quite a bit forward, so you can open up lots more leg room. Still, it's very low to the ground, and I would say at best for kids. I would say quite a lot of boot space for luggage, even with the third row of seats up. I think you can get 4 trolleys in here, 2 duffels, 1 big suitcase, 2 big suitcases. So a good amount of space. Also, what you have here is a nifty little storage space for the parcel tray. So when you take out the parcel tray, it's not sort of angular and dangling around your boot. It's tucked away nicely underneath. Of course, you have other simply clever features like the little torch that's tucked away into the corner. So you have that as well. And what I like is this lever, because when you flip down this row of seats, normally what you have to do is go down the side and then flip the central row down. But here, you just have one lever, flips the center row down, so you can just put your luggage in easily.
Now, the Kodiaq in Europe is offered with a variety of engine and transmission combinations, but what we are likely to get is the 150 HP 2-litre TDI with 340 Nm of torque and the 2-litre TSI petrol with 180 HP and 250 Nm of torque, both of them with auto transmissions, but a manual may be offered to get an entry price point. There is a 190 HP diesel as well, which is what we drove at first, but that will not make it to India as it's built to cope with Euro 6 and needs a better fuel grade than we can offer. It will probably make its entry much later when we shift our emission norms.
From behind the wheel of the Kodiaq, you don't really feel like you're driving something so big, and that's because the bonnet really doesn't extend far out in front of you. It tapers off, you don't see the ends of it. So it feels quite compact to drive. It's only when you view the width of the car you remember, yes, this is a big SUV that you're driving.
Another fact that hits you instantly is how hushed the cabin is. Overall refinement levels are good, and only out on the highway at higher speeds do you get a bit of wind noise from the A-pillar.
The initial impression is that this diesel engine is extremely refined. You barely hear it. Even when you push it hard, it's got an extremely refined note.
But this engine was built more for the German autobahns, and its strength lies in high-speed cruising.
Now this diesel engine feels strong enough. It really gets into the meat of the band after about 2000 RPM. Overtakes come easily.
The problem is that the power kicks in too high, and coupled with the gearbox, there is pronounced lag at the lower RPMs.
If there's one thing, the gearbox is a bit slow to react, but that problem's easily solved. All you need is a quick dab on the paddle shifts when you want to shift down, and then power served up nicely and cleanly.
There are 3 driving modes: Eco, Normal and Sport. And Sport does sharpen the responses a bit, but just marginally. In fact, the differences between all modes are minimal. Now, this was the bigger capacity diesel, and it really didn't inspire much from behind the wheel, so I was a bit worried about the 150 HP.
Well, driving the 150 HP diesel now, and there is quite a difference here. In fact, I think it's far more lively. It delivers power much better, and the power comes in much lower down as well, so it's easier to drive. Feels more punchy for that reason too. And even the steering feels far better weighted in this version of the car.
Now, I had renewed faith in the Kodiaq's ability to please from behind the wheel. This diesel kicked in just shy of 1500 RPM and responded much faster, meaning in our kind of traffic conditions, it would do the job and do it well. At around 1700 kg, the Kodiaq is not heavy, and the 150 HP makes it feel sprightly as it should. The engine is in its comfort zone whether you trundle around or whether you want to stretch its legs. That apart, the steering changes character too and has more heft to it. But notably, we were driving the 2-wheel version. We also did our stint in the petrol engine, and it was everything we expected: smooth, refined, and built up power in a healthy manner.
Petrol engine feels nice and lively, it pulls strongly, and even the gearbox feels quicker to react in this combination.
Though the gearbox is a little improved in this combination, it still doesn't lend itself to urgent requirements of power.
Still, even in the petrol, it's better to use park throttle than flatten your foot to the floor to get more even responses.
We even tried the semi-autonomous drive mode, eerie as it was, but this will not make it to India.
Now I've got the lane assist on, so every time I try to overtake, I feel this little tug on the steering wheel when I'm going over the dotted lines to bring me back within my lane. When I drive like on the straighter set of road, what I have to do is, and I'll show it to you in just a bit, just lift my hands off the steering wheel, and as you can see, I'm going round a corner, but it is steering me back and keeping me within the lane.
When you do put your hands on the wheel and steer, you find the feedback a little bit inadequate.
So you see, turning is not really difficult. I had to make a 3 or 4 point turn there, but the steering is light and easy. Now, on the flip side of that, whilst it makes the car feel very easy to maneuver in traffic, out on a highway when you get up to cruising speeds at dead center, there is a certain amount of vagueness. And even when you go around corners, it's quite light. It's not extremely consistent. So it's not a car that you want to take around a winding section of road and drive really enthusiastically. But body roll is really well contained, so it does go around corners at reasonable speeds quite neatly and tidily.
It's the composure of the body that inspires a good sense of confidence despite the steering. So the Kodiaq feels secure enough. Having done the entire gamut from behind the wheel, I hopped into the most popular section of the car.
So as you can see, I'm in the 7-seater version, and there is more room in the 5-seater in the middle row, but there is no lack of room at all here in the 7-seat version. He's about 6 foot 1 inch, and look at the amount of space I have. There's ample leg room. I mean, you can fit 2 6-feeters, one behind the other, absolutely comfortably over here as far as space is concerned. The bench is wide enough for 3 people to fit as well, and I think the floorboard's flat enough for the third person to be comfortable.
As mentioned earlier, the center row is adjustable.
Now the middle row is on slider, so if you need to open up a little more room for the third row, that can be done as well. And should it be just you, you can push it all the way back and even recline the backrest to get really cushy and comfortable in this back seat.
To define comfort in India, the back seat also has to provide cushioning from the road.
As far as the ride is concerned, at low speeds it is quite supple and it does go over the bumps and potholes quite easily. The roads here are a bit smooth and we'll have to check it further in Indian conditions, but there is a lumpiness to the ride and it does get caught out over sharper bumps and potholes.
The Kodiaq is expected by Diwali next year, and we expect it to be priced between 27 and 35 lakh.
Well, the Kodiaq definitely delivers on the core values of Skoda, which are space, comfort, practicality and clever tech. It also has petrol and diesel engines, giving you good performance. The only thing left is value, so let's hope they deliver on that. So I'm in a very windy part of Lisbon to test drive the 7th generation 5 Series. Now the core of BMW, or the essence of it, is mixing sportiness with comfort in good measures. But the 6th generation 5 Series seems to have taken away from that a little bit, moving more towards comfort and leaving a little bit of that sportiness behind. Can this 5 Series bring it back? Well, let's find out.
So I got right to it, settling behind the wheel of the 530D X-Drive to find out. Now, the caveat is that the X-Drive will not be available in India, but it was the only available variant of the engine on offer. The 530 will make its way to India along with the 520D.
Now this car is about 100 kilos lighter. Extend your foot on the gas and you have this strong surge of torque, which is really great.
Power from the previous 530D xDrive is upped by 7 HP to 265 HP. And the 0 to 100 charge is now 5.4 seconds, making it 0.3 seconds quicker. So the difference in performance is minimal. However, where the bigger change is in frugality. This version is 12% more fuel efficient. Out on the road, it's more about how it delivers the power. It's a linear acceleration that feels strong from the word go. And whether you're in a situation of lift up and step down or simply just cruising, the 530D does the job well and feels exciting enough. The smooth delivery of power is also down to the fact that the 8-speed gearbox is just so well mated to the power plant.
This gearbox is really great as well. There's a buttery deftness. It just swaps cogs so easily.
It's always in the right gear without letting you know it's even made the change. I barely needed to use the paddles at all. In fact, it's not just the gearbox that delivers smoothly.
What's amazing is the refinement as well. You could easily mistake this engine for a petrol.
BMW has used the Syntac or Synergy Thermoacoustic Capsule technology in the new 5 Series to reduce powertrain noise. The lightweight soundproofing materials encapsulates the engine and transmission, teaming up with a series of inventive touches to lower volume levels. It also produces considerable weight saving and fuel saving. The overall hush in the cabin makes you realize how much luxury has been built into this car. It absolutely isolates you from the outside sounds. In fact, such is the calm in the cabin that it's a bit misleading, masking the speeds that you build up. But that's the beauty of this 5 Series. It does the job it's meant to do. Sporty performance for a car of its size and yet the tranquility of a luxury sedan. The 5 Series had already impressed me, but it was time to wind up for the day.
So it's day 2, but I still have a nice winding section road ahead of me and a new car. This is the 540i. Now this is an engine that will come a lot later to India. What we will see first is the 530i. The 540 is good, it's strong, it's powerful, and it's refined, but that's not for now. The reason I wanted to drive this car is because the 530D that we drove yesterday had the xDrive, and this is the regular two-wheel that will be coming to India.
Now there's a caveat here too. Since we shot the earlier day with the tracking car, it's sunny outside. But when I speak, it's pouring. So that's the vagaries of an automobile shoot.
The fun really begins when you switch this into sport. Now that's when it brings a smile to my face. You feel like it's a BMW again. There's a nice heft to the steering. It feels a little meatier. It's not 3 Series sharp, but there's a composure with which this goes round corners that eggs you to push it a little faster. The balance is quite amazing. And yes, it feels BMW again. It feels involving and fun to drive.
There are 3 drive modes: Eco, Comfort and Sport. Needless to say, I never went into Eco, but I did toggle between Sport and Comfort and was impressed on both accounts.
When you switch the car into comfort mode, this just glides over the surface of the road, whether it's bumps, potholes, sharp speed breakers, just blunts it out underneath and you feel like you're riding on a cushion of air. The ride is truly, truly impressive.
This, I think, is going to be a big plus for the Indian consumer. The ability of the 5 Series to just isolate you from the road below. The other pluses will be the fact that the back seat has also improved. Let's dial the story back to the 530D and show you just how much it's changed on the inside.
Well, this car is longer, it's taller, it's wider, and it definitely feels so on the inside. There's a lot more leg room over here. in this back seat. You can see there's a lot more space opened out, and even the seat itself, the squab is a little longer. The sides bolster you in nicely. The middle row is now sort of flatter, so you can actually get the third passenger in as well. I think overall, a huge improvement.
Length has increased by 36 millimeters, width grown by 6 millimeters, and height has increased by 2 millimeters. The wheelbase is also now 7 millimeters longer than before. The result, the hemmed-in feeling that you would get before is gone, and overall visibility is also better. But it's not only the back seat that impresses, it's the front as well.
Well, it all starts with this key that we see from the 7 Series now over here, the smart key with all the features. The interior of the BMW 5 Series has moved up multiple levels. I mean, it really feels premium on the inside now. Of course, we're in the luxury line, which is the top-end variant, but you know, just the layers, levels, colors, textures on the dash, all of the material really feels top-notch. There's the new TFT display now, which is really intuitive, much easier to use. Of course, you still have the iDrive. You have a cockpit now, a digital cockpit over here, which is much nicer. So sharp, crystal clear features. This new 3-spoke steering wheel, rich leather, feels absolutely great on the inside.
The cockpit itself is slanted ever so slightly, making it more driver-focused. And practicality overall is enhanced too. The door pockets can now hold 1-liter bottles, and the cup holders are deepened so that the stored cups do not foul with your ability to use the controls. There are a whole lot of gizmos as well. The gesture control that can help increase the volume or change to a preset function. The feather touch buttons below the display that can be programmed to bring up the menu of your choice. And there's the heads-up display as well. But this one, I found, had too much information and was a bit distracting. The 8 different massage functions built into the seats keep you comfortable, and there's wireless charging for your phone too. There's a 360-degree parking cam, which is handy, and a 16-speaker Bowers & Wilkins system for your entertainment. There is steering and lane control assistant, which gives you a taste of autonomous driving. It operates in the speed range from 0 to 210 kilometers an hour and uses smooth steering interventions to help the driver stay within the current lane. But that feature will not make its way to India as it's radar-based. There's the massive 530-liter boot that can be triggered to open by simply waving your foot under the sensors when you have the keys with you. On the outside too, the 5 has changed a bit. Though it's more evolutionary than revolutionary. It seems more athletic and tauter. The bonnet shut line is down to the nose, creating less division. The kidney grille is more upright. The LEDs have a distinct new design as well, and even around the side, the roof line is a little different. The overall skinning is a little tighter, and the 5 Series is just a little bit more appealing.
Well, I asked myself at the beginning, can this bring the sportiness back to the 5 Series? And yes, my answer is an emphatic yes, it does that. It's more involving to drive, it's definitely more fun, and apart from the looks, it's really evolved, it's moved forward in every which way, whether we talk of interior, whether we talk about comfort, whether we talk about space, performance, and ride quality. That is a huge leap. I mean, it's going to be a hit on the Indian roads. It's extremely comfortable and truly impressive. So if you were to ask me, should I buy this 5 Series, my answer now would be an emphatic yes.
Hello and welcome to Autocar Confidential. Now this week we're going to talk about the big launch from Maruti next month, which is the Suzuki Ignis. Now this car is going to be launched on January 13th. It's a very cool, a very funky car, a very personal car, which is why Maruti is putting a lot of effort into giving a lot of customization in it. So there are a lot of options you can choose from, a lot of accessories, a lot of features in this car, which you really don't expect in a hatchback at this price. Some of the cool features are going to be things like the inner roof lining, which you can choose from a selection of different colors and patterns. There are lots of other features and accessories as well to choose from. And the Ignis will be sold through the Nexa showrooms, which is the premium network of Maruti. Well, that's it from me, but keep watching the Autocar Show.